And welcome back to Filam Creative's Voices. We're back here with Gabe De Guzman, dancer, Mouseketeer, or
choreography,
or as we call it, Danceketeer. There you go. welcome to Filam Creative's Voices.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you can make it. So tell the audience here, like, what is a Mouseketeer?
Well, a Mouseketeer is basically, I believe, one of the major faces of the Disney company because they started out as one of the first Disney TV shows. So Mouseketeer is a very big name in the industry. And, I mean, so many stars have came out of that show. You have Justin Timberlake, Ryan Gosling, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. Just the list goes on and on and on. And just to think that I'm a part of the next generation of this great line of people is just so crazy to me. And it's a dream come true, honestly.
How did you start off? How old were you when you started dancing?
When I started dancing, I was 5 years old, and right now I'm 17 years old, so 12 years now.
Do you remember your very first routine?
I can tell you what's the very first dance I learned. It was I was 3 years old at my parents' Filipino parties, and I would do the ocho ocho and spaghetti.
Holy crap, dude! That's what I was just thinking right now. So I was like, I wonder if he's gonna say ocho ocho because I was like, in my head, I was like, it'd be really funny if he said
Good job,
ocho,
Mom. Good job.
I had to reach back into my Filipino roots, and I was just like, that's the first thing I learned. I put a hat on the floor and just be like, yeah.
All right, you get to keep the card.
Oh
That's
my
awesome. What made you like being a Mouseketeer? Like, was it something that was just offered to you, or is that something you wanted or strived for? Like, how that come?
I mean, I've always been a Disney kid ever since I was born, and like just the audition notes came out. They're like, "Hey, we're casting for new Mouseketeers." I was like, "Mouseketeers? I haven't heard that name in so long." And I was like, "This must be such a great opportunity." So, of course, our show is based around social media, and kind of the talent team was searching through social media, and luckily they found my profile, and I got called in to come in for an audition. So I got to go in, and it wasn't anything specified for the audition of what we had to do. They just wanted to see who we are as individuals and just show our great personalities. And I mean, that's pretty much a very big part of the show because our show is all about diversity and being yourself. And yeah, I mean.
Were you nervous at all?
I was definitely nervous because I never thought I'd be auditioning for like the role of a Mouseketeer. And I mean, once again, that's such a very big name in just the whole industry and just as Disney would say. So
Yeah, because I mean, because I used to watch the Mickey Mouse Club, right, when I was younger, and then it just stopped. They stopped having the Mickey Mouse Club. It just went away for a while.
It just ended.
yeah, it was just like 50s, 70s, 90s, and then now they come back in 2000. So like, yeah, it's crazy how this is just the next generation of kids that are just happy and be living their dream.
Yeah, personally, when I heard that it was coming back, I was like, that's awesome. You know, like there's going to be a new generation of talent being developed and like new audience that's going to enjoy it. When they asked you to come in, did they base, you kind of said it, but like, you think it's based on like the people who came in because they had big followers, or it's because of the talent they saw on the social media?
No, I believe it was all very talent based because they kind of knew all of our like strengths and weaknesses, but of course we all had each other to kind of help each other on those weaknesses because half of us were dancers, half of us were singers, and we kind of just push each other to do better in our weaker state. But I mean, one of the kids actually, that was his very first audition like in LA, and he is now a Mouseketeer. So
Wow, that's incredible.
we definitely have a great range of just different people who are like well known and those who are just getting into the industry, and we just blended in so well.
That's pretty awesome. What's the demographics, would you say? Like, it's because you said it's pretty diverse, so it's like, do they have pretty much like everyone from the spectrum or the rainbow kind of thing, or what?
Well, it's actually pretty amazing because half of our cast right now is Filipino, which is this is a very big step for the Asian community because we know that Asian Americans have like, there haven't been very much roles out there in like kind of just the TV and movie world, but just to think how far we've come, and now that half of our cast is actually Filipino is just quite mind-blowing to me.
It's a huge feat because, you know, a win for you is a win for all of us who are, you know, trying to pave the way, and they're with all the other guests that we've had on this show, we have people who've been doing this since the 90s, and and then people who are YouTubers, and so it's great to just see finally Filipinos in the mainstream, and a huge following for future kids generations to follow, because the new Mickey Mouse Club, it's not going to be on TV. It's more on social media platforms, right?
Yeah, it's more just tap on your phone and you're there. You're just joining the experience right through your phone. But I believe that it's a very big step for us, because I know also on Disney there's a show where an Asian girl is actually just the lead and just the main star of the show. So, I mean, we're really stepping into, we're just making change. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, and
we just want to set examples for all the next generations that are coming after us, just to show that you don't have to change yourself for who you are. Just be you, and just keep following your dream.
Do you feel like people in your age group are more aware of diversity and how much that matters?
I feel like we've definitely we definitely grew more into that, and we're kind of realizing that we're much better being ourselves rather than changing for someone else.
That's huge. Oh, that just melts my heart, guys. We're gonna survive, thank God.
So when you let's go back to your first day on set. Like, what was that like?
First day on set, I was kind of nervous, because some of the people I didn't know, some of the people I've worked with ever since I was a kid, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is our first day as a group, so we don't know if we're gonna get along or not. But luckily we all got in there, we introduced ourselves to each other, we kind of played some games that day just to kind of get to know each other, and I can really say that we instantly clicked as soon as that first day happened.
That's cool. And for the people that not familiar with being an actor and as a teen or even younger, how do you guys balance school and set life?
School is definitely a hard portion of it. Well, this previous year, I actually got so caught up in work that I went to public school for my freshman and sophomore years, but then it just started getting so busy, so I actually went homeschool for my junior year. But now that I'm a senior, I'm going to go back to my public school.
Oh.
So, I just want to have that normal high school experience. It's your senior year. You don't want to miss out on all the great things.
Prom.
Is it really normal when you're the super cool guy that was on the Disney
Yeah,
Channel?
I try to say normal as if
do you get
That's a thing.
how do your friends at school or even your other peers and classmates treat you? If you're gonna go back, you're a senior, and how are they taking the news that you're a Mouseketeer? Because I would be freaking out. I would be freaking out for you.
Yeah.
Well, they definitely know the situation. Of course, I kind of will not get to have that normal life, but as much as I can, just kind of just treat me as a normal, regular high school kid. I still gotta stay to my roots and just stay grounded, and yeah, that's basically a really big moral for me, is to just stay grounded, be humble, and just be grateful for every opportunity.
So, are they going to work around your guys' schedules, and for the Mouseketeers who are going to public school and all of that?
Well, it's funny because half of us, even more than half of us, are graduated at this point or in college. So, yeah, there's only there's 3 of us that are still in school.
Oh, okay.
But one is still homeschooled, and then me and another Mouseketeer are going back to school.
Oh, that's cool.
When you were growing up, what did you think that you were going to do with your life?
What did I think I was going to do? I definitely knew I was gonna, of course, dance, and I think one of my major goals is just to either dance or even get to maybe choreograph a world tour. That was one of my biggest dreams ever since I was a kid.
Nice. Now, for the people that might not be familiar, what kind of dances are you trained in? Or
I train in all styles. I train in jazz, tap, ballet, contemporary, musical theater, but my main is hip hop.
What was it like dancing with Bruno Mars?
Ooh, dancing with Bruno Mars, that was so amazing. it was my first job. I mean, I got to go on tour for this thing called Macy's Glamorama, which was just basically a fashion show showcasing all their like new clothes and stuff. And I mean, I got to do that. And on the tour was Bruno Mars, Far East Movement, and CeeLo Green. So I mean, that's a pretty big step for my first job. And then as soon as I heard like who the artists were, when I got to rehearsal, I was just like, what?
How old were you?
I think I was 9, 10-ish.
Oh my God, guys, step it
Wow.
up. Step up your game.
What was I doing when I was 9 or 10?
Walter, what were you doing when you were 9?
Dude, I just immigrated to America. I was foggy as hell, man. I was just trying to learn English like most Americans.
So I think I had already graduated ESL by then. Yeah. I was riding bikes and like learning math.
I was just coming out of the jungles of the Philippines.
Damn!
I was putting away my machete.
Oh my God. We'd so be friends. We would so be friends back then.
Going back, sorry, I'm thinking of my machete. Go like your support system as a an actor and being so young. Like, what's that like, and how does your family keep up with that?
Well, it's a very difficult process. I mean, both my parents, they both work full-time jobs, but they still kind of just like play around with their schedule and just kind of help me a lot to just keep living out my dreams. So they're a very big part of my support system. And I mean, my family has supported me throughout the whole way, and my friends, they have never let me down. They've always been by my side ever since I was a kid, and like however long I've known them, I've always had them by my side, and just they've always been great people.
Did your parents ever try to, I guess, like influence you as far as, careers and academics? Like, because, everybody's like, oh, go into the medical field or go into engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Were your parents like that? Or did they just see the potential in you early on and just kind of, encouraged everything that you were passionate about?
I mean, I think they already knew that I kind of had that dancing bug. I mean, I would be dancing everywhere, ever at their parties, of course, and just like everywhere around the house, I would not stop moving. I was the like worst child to deal with because I would not stop moving. But I think they really saw potential in like what I really was interested in. And it's kind of funny because I had the dancing bug, but I actually didn't start taking dance classes because I was like, oh, I really want to do dance. So how this started out was when I was a kid, I actually had asthma, and I needed to find an indoor sport that would keep me active, but also not have me coming home sick every time because of all the dust, because I would try t-ball and softball out in the fields, and then every day just coming home coughing, and it just wasn't working out, but I still needed to still keep that active flow. So my sister was also a dancer, and she went to the studio that I actually attend right now. So her and my parents really encouraged me to take a dance class, but at the time, for my age, it was like ballet and jazz, and I was the type of boy who was just like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. So they let me wait a year, and I finally took my first dance class there, which was hip hop, of course, and I just instantly fell in love with it. It was kind of like destiny. I mean, it's crazy how it wasn't actually a choice of mine at first.
Well, kudos to your parents for seeing that. And because, I feel like every parent, you hope, for certain dreams, and you kind of like have this image in your head, like, oh, I think my child's going to do X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. And it's always a pleasure to hear stories where the families are so supportive of what their children's potential is and what their dreams are, because there's nothing better than just to see your child happy and really happy doing what they're doing. Because if you really love it, you're going to find a way, and you'll do it nonstop, just like you said, like the constant dancing.
And yeah, I think amongst everyone we've interviewed, like a good a pattern, or it seems like to me there's a pattern, like the people, the parents who support them the way your family supports you, is like, it's great, and it really helps them in their success. So, if you're a parent who has a child that wants to be in the arts and be creative, support them, because it will help them achieve things. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've interviewed some people who kind of did it on the down low, but they really had to struggle and fight to get to where they're at. So, yeah, kudos to your parents, your family, and your sister for pushing you to do that. And going back to Disney being half Filipino, like cast, right?
Good job, Disney.
I was just thinking, no, because if like the audition criteria is dance and sing, that's almost like a given.
It's
that's
like so unfair, guys.
I was thinking because when he said like, yeah, you just had to learn how to dance and sing, I was like, Filipinos, like that's like we just got that shit locked.
Yeah, no, for real, all those Filipino parties, that's where you start.
It's paid off.
yeah. Those Christmas parties for your and your parents' birthday, that's all like preparation for auditions, really.
Yeah, you gotta break up that garage life where all the uncles are at and just like do a little show for them and then like leave.
Yeah.
So your mom knew, so she was probably like, yeah. Dance for your uncles. They're the harshest critics.
No, she already knew. She was just like, go, dance. I'm like, I just did it like 5 times.
Not good enough. Go. So like for you, like, do you have? So you're gonna go into your senior year, you said, right? Are you gonna apply for college? What's your 5-year plan, as JR would say?
Yes, the other De Guzman out there.
De Guzman. You guys have to watch our other episodes on voices. But yes, so what's your 5-year plan?
Well, I think the main plan is just to, of course, go to college, and I think I would study, of course, dance, or I would do actually graphic design, because I took those classes in high school and I really enjoyed just like learning about animation and stuff. So, I mean, yeah, just the TV and film industry and just how much is growing into their animation department.
Oh, wow.
It's just, yeah, I think I would want to learn and kind of just, that'd be another path I would want to take.
Actually, you just bring something up that I'm kind of curious about. Like, so as a student who uses the arts program now, how do you feel like, either it prepares you or it changes your outlook on things, or, it makes you want to go to school?
I mean, me personally, of course, I believe the arts is very important, and I think schools should continue to just keep having those art programs. So, I mean, kids are really just using their creative minds. And like there's the people that, of course, are very more creative or they're very more logic. But of course, like I'm on the creative side, and I believe that it's a great way to kind of just prepare you for what career you want to have in the future. So, I mean, that's basically what high school is, just preparing you for life.
Wow.
I
Deep.
can only imagine like what college is when they see your application. It says Club Mickey Mouse Mouseketeer. That's huge. That's huge. Do you have some colleges in mind yet of where you want to go?
Definitely would want to stay local here, so I'm hoping either USC or UCLA.
Ooh, just like a draft pick.
I know. That's that's a strong rivalry right there. Oh man.
So one or the other, I'll be.
Mom's like, whichever gives the better scholarship package.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
She's
College
like,
is so expensive. Dude, yeah, Westwood, like to live like by UCLA it's oh my gosh, ridiculous. I don't know how students live out there.
Or live by USC.
The campus at USC is beautiful.
And their dance program is just
The
like
campus. Guys,
Main campus
emphasize on
is
the
beautiful.
word. The campus is
Main
beautiful.
campus.
No offense, USC, but we're telling the truth.
So did you get to interact much with Bruno Mars?
Yes, I actually saw him after our performance in, I think, our last city in San Francisco. And we got to go to the after party, of course. I'm just having a great time. And then someone announced that Bruno was in the building. So I was like on the search. I was just like, where is he? And then, because I saw him a little bit before the show even happened, and I wanted to ask him for a picture, but unfortunately he had to go like right away to rehearsal. But it's amazing because I finally found him at the after party. He was like surrounded by his bodyguards, but he looked and then he kind of just like pointed at me, and then like him and his bodyguards just started moving towards me. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So he came up to me. He was like, hey, I remember you. I was like, yep, I just danced with you. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, that was one of the greatest experiences. I mean, he gave me such inspirational advice. And
What did he tell you?
I mean, just follow your dreams, stay who you are, and just never forget it.
He is fabulous to watch in person too.
Oh yeah, just so
I've
amazing.
been to I think 2 or 3 concerts now in different cities, and it's so the energy is so high. So to be a dancer on anything that he's on, oh my god, like that must be exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like for a lot of people who don't dance, you know, like a 2-minute routine, it could be brutal. It could, you know, like if it's like super fast paced hip hop. I mean, like it's a true full body workout.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean,
I think you should put Walter through one of your routines.
I'm your huckleberry. I'll do it. Unless I'll probably be sweating and dying.
I think I'd be impressed by you. You can
I'll
still
do it.
move. You still got it.
Yes, I move.
You'll
It's
just
not
feel
gonna
it.
be great. It's just not gonna be great.
You'll just feel it for like 10 days after.
Yeah. What's your motivation and like how do you inspire yourself to make routines?
well, it's actually great because of course, started out first as a dancer, but now as I'm getting older, I'm venturing out into this choreography world. So I'm really starting to learn the visuals of like what a choreographer goes through, and just like getting to know what's the concept of the number, what is like all these little bits of parts put together to make an amazing piece. And it's great because over the last year, I've actually got to choreograph for a couple of studios, and I mean, it's definitely a hard process, choreography over dancing, because dancing, you learn the steps and you perform it. But choreography is a whole nother level because you just have to think of the whole group itself. You have to think, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what do they need to work on, and kind of just what's a great way to tell like a story throughout the whole dance. So it's definitely a much harder process.
Arlene here was a dancer.
Oh my God. Everything you're saying is just like, so back in college when I was in Texas, we would have through the Filipino Student Association, we would have a big gathering that we call Good Phil. And Good Phil is still running strong. The dances have gotten even crazier. And even some of the dancers that I knew from back then, they've made it on to big shows like America's Best Dance Crew and other dances, other dancing shows. And it's incredible because like as a student, our school, the people in our Filipino Student Association, we were mostly engineers and nurses and business majors. We had some arts folks, but our school wasn't arts heavy. And so we had like the nerdiest of the nerds making all of the choreography. And it's intense because like it's like right at the start of spring break. And so like you're finishing up all your midterms going into it. So like we would go to class like all day long, and then we would rehearse for 6 hours afterwards. And then you still have like all the other sports, whatever, you know, sports you're doing. Like I did football, volleyball, and basketball. And so it was just like crazy. And as a student, like you just don't think, like you're just like, oh, I can get a B in this class because you have to sleep, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Like, but it's such a rush, you know, trying to figure out like even the transitions, because you're right, like strong dancers, weak dancers, who's going to transition to the front.
Yeah, there's
you
just
know,
so
like
many
you have
parts
to
that I never knew were involved in just choreographing a piece, because I've only viewed it as being choreographed on, but never having to be the teacher and kind of step into that role.
I heard that you performed at the Super Bowl.
I did, indeed.
Awesome. And tell the audience, who did you get to meet when you were at the Super Bowl?
Well, when I did the Super Bowl 49 halftime show with Katy Perry and special guest Missy Elliot.
What? Dang. That is dope.
That was one of, I could say it's my favorite job that I've ever done, and just one of the greatest experiences I've ever had.
There are tons of people watching that right now, like ages like 40 and below were just jealous of you right now that you got to do
Yeah,
that.
because there's a lot of people who didn't know who Missy Elliot was.
No, they thought that she was a new artist when she came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my
yeah,
gosh.
I'm like,
Well, yeah, I
guys.
remember those tweets that be like, "Oh yeah, Katy Perry's gonna blow up her career. She's gonna."
Yeah, I was like,
I was like, what? She came way before Katy
Oh my
Perry.
God.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
man.
like this chick like made a music video and she was like in this black garbage bag.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite videos
Yeah,
too. It's dope. So like what was that like? I mean, how did you get to interact with them or like just being able to dance on stage? Like, man.
Yeah, it was definitely a crazy process for how I got there. So first off, we are like there's an audition sent out to kids like for auditions for the Super Bowl, and it was just like it literally said straight Super Bowl, and I was like, I'm there, and it was actually unfortunate for me because I got cut like on the last round. So I ended up pretty sad that day, but then one of my closest friends and choreographers I actually get to work with, her name's Trisha Miranda, she hit me up and she was like, are you available for like 2 weeks? I was like, yeah, sure. And then we look back on like the dates that they gave us for the Super Bowl, and then we were kind of just trying to figure it out. We were like, wait, but these are all the same dates. So yeah, and then as soon as we got to rehearsal, they were like, hey, you're doing the Super Bowl. I'm like, oh, cool.
Wow.
So that process was amazing. But I mean, I've actually sorry.
Okay.
I found my English.
Yeah.
I've actually got to work with Missy before because I worked with one of her protege artists, Sharaya J, who's actually competing on the 4 right now.
Oh,
So
oh,
nice.
cool.
yeah, I got to work with her and kind of just talk to her. That was the first interaction with her. But it's kind of cool because I saw her back at rehearsal and then she remembered who I was. And I was like, oh,
Ah.
that's cool. Missy Elliot knows who I am. Okay, I feel so
Yeah.
cool.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I
So
mean,
there's all of these like awesome experiences with celebrities. What about that whole other group, the people who kind of like heckle you and kind of
Just hate on you.
yeah
or
the
just-
the kids out there that just want to troll you. How do you deal with all of that? Like, what has your experience been?
I believe people through social media are always seeing the positive side of things, but they never get to see the negative side or all the challenges that us as just people have to go through. I mean, one of the biggest challenges for me was when I was in elementary school, I got bullied because I was a male dancer and it wasn't necessarily the boy thing to do. Everyone was out on the fields. They were all like playing baseball or soccer, but I was always in the studio just training. So I kind of felt like the oddball of the group because I was always left out of like I was sitting alone at lunch tables ended up at that point. But I mean, once again, a big moral for me was just be yourself and be proud of it. And I mean, I'm so glad that my choice was to stick to dance rather than to listen to these people who like didn't really have influence on me because I knew what was right for me and I knew what was going to be right for the rest of my life.
How did you get over it? Because that's such a tragic experience for anybody to go through it. And I feel like it's so relatable. Did you seek advice out like through family, through friends? Like, how did you push yourself to keep going?
Family, friends, and choreographers really helped me through. And it's funny because the only thing that was going to help me through this issue was dance, because that's the only place where I can really express my emotions without having to open my mouth. But just such a great thing about dance is that just through movement itself, you get to show so many emotions and just switch through and just show how you feel. I mean, it's
so emotional.
Yeah.
It's
So,
so
yeah, and
emotional.
it's definitely been taken to another level at like this point.
And do you take that like all that stuff and just channel it into your performance?
Most definitely. I feel like a lot of my emotions that I use in dance come from real life experiences. And I mean, I just really have to channel kind of what has happened in those moments and why it made me feel that way. And then just realize that through all the bad things that have happened, I'm still here getting to do what I love to do as a job, and I couldn't be happier.
And I mean, do you see some of those old school bullies around your hometown or whatever? And how do they treat you now that you're?
I Well, it's funny because I left that school in 7th grade, but I actually came back to watch their 8th grade graduation for a little bit. So I came back, and then apparently that year a lot of stuff happened for me. And then I came back, they were all like, "Oh my gosh, hi!" I was like, "Nope, don't even do that to me right now."
That's what you get.
And I mean, yeah, I mean that's just so sad and tragic that like whether I mean I don't know if like it's just kids are just jealous to it's they see someone who's living their dream or doing what they want to do, and they just want to bring you down because they're not able to do what they want to do. I don't know if it's that or it's just because parents like influence their kids. I always wondered about that.
I think it's really hard to tell because I mean, on one side of things, like if there's not a lot of dancers in a school that you're going to, they're not going to be able to relate. So it's just something totally different, and it's easier to, make fun of somebody who's doing something totally different than the majority and not really understanding it. And it's horrible, but I think if you're really passionate about what you do and you put your heart and soul into it, like, I mean, you're going to be successful in whatever that is, whether that's math, science, the arts,
I believe
dancing.
it's like a feeling of not wanting to be the oddball or just like be left out from like the whole group as a whole. But for me, it was just no, like I don't want to be just a part of you guys and like change myself for who I am.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. It speaks volumes of your character and how your family, raised your
and your resiliency.
I think that's a strong sense of character and self to be able to do that, because that, to be honest, growing up, I've seen a lot of people who will crumble to that kind of pressure just to please other people.
Yeah, I find that very saddening, and I believe that that's like the main lesson out there. It's just like don't let people judge you for what you like or like what you want to be when you like grow up. It's just no, don't let these people bring you down. And I believe it's just kind of like, yeah, I mean, it's really sad to me when people tell me like, hey, I decided to like kind of change because this person has had an influence on me. But yeah, it's just really saddening to me.
Yeah, and I mean, like just for people who are listening and watching this, like follow your passion, right? Like I know it's gonna be tough, but like I mean, look at this guy. He got to dance with Katy Perry and Missy Elliot, like, and you've got to travel, and you're not, and you're not even 18 yet.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to like have known what I want to do at such a young age. And
you're
really
choreographing also in the Philippines too, right?
Yes, I just came back from a teaching workshop with my friend Tati McQuay in the Philippines that we went in March.
That's wild.
Do you go back to Philippines often, or was that the first time?
I believe I'm going back in December to teach some more workshops. So,
oh, nice. Like, how does it being were you born here or immigrated, and how's?
They were born in the Philippines, and
Okay.
by they, sorry, the camera. My parents were born in the Philippines, and then they came here, and I was born in Hemet, California, and then I moved to Marietta, California.
Oh, okay. And since you, how often did you guys go back and forth from the Philippines? As a
It
like
wasn't
buy-in?
very that often. I mean, it would be like a 3-4 year gap in between each trip. But I mean, I enjoy getting to come back to.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still pretty good. My parents would do anak, we're gonna go to the Philippines, and then like she would tell me both my parents would tell me every year, and like we didn't go back until like I was 15. So like it was like, oh okay, yeah, we're gonna go back to the Philippines. It didn't
Oh
happen.
man, I don't. Yeah, I think like for me, like I immigrated, and then I didn't go back to the Philippines until like my high school graduation.
Oh really?
And like
Oh, I didn't know it was that long.
it was a while, and then like I almost forgot how to speak Tagalog. Like my relative tried to speak to me in Tagalog, and I tried to respond to him, and I was like, I was like, holy crap, I forgot how to speak Tagalog. And then like several months later, my dad was like, yeah, we're going to Philippines, and then slowly but surely it came back.
It comes back, yeah.
Which
Just gotta do the immersion.
yeah, and it was because I think I spent the whole summer there, and then it just the gears just started working again. Fast forward when I was joining the army, right? And then I took a linguist
You did the
test, and
test.
I got paid. I got paid knowing Tagalog, and I was like, yes.
What level did you get?
2+.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, man.
That test is hard. That military language test is hard.
Yeah. So I mean, for all you bilingual folks, you like don't lose that language. Again, it's like even if you get pressured by people, be like, oh, why do you have an accent, or why blah blah blah. It's like they're just jealous. They don't speak a second language.
That's
Keep
true.
it because you're gonna get paid. So, do you have any future projects? I know you talked about Philippines, but yeah, do you have any upcoming projects? And you want to plug your show?
Well, currently this week I am back filming with Club Mickey Mouse, and we're actually in the process of filming a back to school special, which will be coming out at the end of summer.
Cool.
So be on the lookout for that. And I'll just be on my off time. I'll just be dancing, creating content for my Instagram and YouTube, and yeah, I mean, you can follow me on my socials at Gabe De Official and on YouTube, Gabe De Guzman.
How does it feel to be a heartthrob?
That one's fun.
Something I'll never know.
It's okay, Walter. It's okay.
Which is what's funny is like as we're doing this, I'm just realizing like out of everyone we've interviewed, like my niece and nephew like will only really probably care about this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, totally. We'll get cool points.
Yeah.
We won't look that old anymore.
They'll be like, "Who's AJ Calamay?" Sorry.
We love you, AJ.
I love you, man. But again, hey, thank you for coming and visiting us. I really appreciate talking to you, and I'm sure Arlene has, and
Oh my gosh, it's been amazing.
the audience had. So much knowledge for someone so young, and I really wish you the best. And I hope like you'll be the Justin Timberlake of your
Yes,
generation.
we're rooting for
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I mean, it's been a blast.
Well, thank you for coming to Filam Creative's Voices. I really appreciated your stories, and you're so insightful for someone so young, but you are so accomplished. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. This is a great first podcast I've ever done.
So, with you guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Follow Filam Creative Voices on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But our umbrella Filam Creative is also Filam Creative on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So thank you for watching.
And now it's time to say goodbye.
To all our friends and family. VOICES.
I couldn't.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Today's episode brought to you by the good folks at Filipino Worker Center. From the heart of historic Filipino town, PWC focuses on providing programs that help meet the immediate needs of workers and their families, while at the same time building their leadership to take collective action for long-lasting change.